Welcome to the New York Now podcast, a modern wholesale market for retailers and specialty buyers seeking diversity and discovery. Gathering twice a year in America's design capital, New York City, it's where buyers and designers unearth a refreshed and dedicated collection of eclectic lifestyle products. Hi, I'm Dondrell Glover, creative marketing consultant for New York Now. Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I'm delighted to introduce our special guest, Monica Diaz, the founder and creative director of MDMODE. Monica's one of New York's top personal style coaches, virtual stylists, and trend forecasters. She's worked with entrepreneurs, independent retailers, and Fortune 500 clients, helping them to find different approaches, perspectives, solutions in fashion and creative challenges. In Monica's 2020 fall trend presentation, she walked us through the world of work from home lifestyle, in home decor, fashion trend direction, and as dedicated home offices and category expansions continue to emerge, the importance of adapting, personalizing style and functionality is key. Monica introduces us to the business of MDMODE, highlighting notable workspaces and fashion trends forward for 2021. I'm so excited to dive into today's conversation with Monica to learn more about the business of MDMODE, her expansive career, and insights in home, fashion trend, and sustainable goals forward, and so much more. Join me in welcoming Monica. Hi, Monica. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you joining us today.
Hi, Dondrell. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely excited to be chatting with you today. We have so much to unpack and a great deal to learn. So excited to share with the audience. Let's kick things off with telling us about you and how your career began in fashion and design, and specifically the path that brought you to business imagery and trend forecasting. How did that start for you?
Sure. Well, my fashion career started early on. I actually attended FIT and was a major in textile technology, and marketing, believe it or not. So I started as a textile stylist for an importing company here in New York, and I loved it. I got to design collections with international mills, mills in Europe and mills in Latin America, for designers such as Ralph Lauren, Oscar de la Renta, Brooks Brothers, Carolina Herrera, just different, Jones New York, different companies, and always sitting and collaborating with the designers to actually design collections that were specifically for them. And then, of course, for the American market in general, depending on the mill. So it was something that I really, really love to do. I did it for many years. Yeah. I've worked with both, like I said, with many mills in Latin America and in Europe. Yeah. And then I've also worked when we had mills here in the United States with domestic mills as well. But then my career sort of took a little bit of a turn, and I started freelancing as an independent textile stylist, and I started learning a little bit more about image consulting and, just got more interested in, so what happens? How do people wear the clothing? Whenever I was working with designers, I always was collaborating with them and, of course, with the mills and looking at forecasting and what are the colors that are coming up and what are the designs before anybody really was ready for it, right? So we were 2 years ahead of whenever the trends were coming in, So I would be starting to design for, let's say, 2023 now,
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it was also just wanting to know, how are people wearing this? What makes people choose one look over another? And it was also how I started growing as a person. I was a young woman growing in an industry that my circle was basically mostly male, and I was always the designer that was there and had to have my voice heard. And, there was very few females, very few Latinas that were at the table. And I always had to better myself. And I wanted to know, I did this on my own. Would other people, how would they learn how to do this? Can I teach this to other people? And that's how I got started in everything that was that part of fashion, which was the end product and with the customer and the psychology of it and why we dress the way we do and how does this affect us, but still doing other projects with other with and collaborations and other things. I started teaching. I was an
Yeah.
adjunct professor for LIM College,
Oh,
for the Art
wonderful.
Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've always liked the creative end of it and
Yeah.
the educational end of it as well.
Well,
So yeah, so it's really like most of us, just doing a lot of different things that becomes our like the patchwork of what is our own fabric of a career, right?
absolutely. That answer really takes me, well into the next question. With Monica Diaz Mode, tell us a little bit more about your business and how clients work with you and what they can expect from those partnerships and collaborations with your brand.
Sure. So I take my lead, I think, or the way I work directly from my creative process that I did working with designers. It is a collaboration that I have with my clients. I start working with them either one on one or with a group or a corporation. And it's really about sitting with them to try and find solutions to their personal or their corporate image. This could be either virtually or it could be, in person, but it's really about identifying their brand. And with it, I need to hear everything about them. What is it that they like? What is it that they don't like? Where are they today and where do they want to be? It's really important to know where you want to go so that you can actually um, create that image that aligns with that, because a lot of the times, whether you are an individual or a corporation, the two things don't align, and then there's miscommunication. And people
Yeah,
don't know exactly what you stand for. So what I do is I help people really align that and
really
put that
the
together.
line. Oh,
Hmm.
that's fantastic. In that process of working with you, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your trend forecast process. How do you identify and what inspires you to research and sort of bring that focus to your clients? What inspires that research in there?
Okay, so I think everyone has a different method of forecasting, and trend forecasting and how they look for trends. Um, and again, I'm going back to my roots, and I think it's important to do that only because that is really our base and how we start learning and how we build, um, either our knowledge or our career, our business. And my roots started in textile styling. It started in actually working with mills and forecasters and starting to research what the past trends were. So we were always looking back to see what has worked and thinking about what will continue to work and what we believe had its time and is already past due. And
Yeah.
then looking at experts and what are they saying? What are the color researchers saying? What are
Mhm.
the colors that they're seeing that are moving forward? And how can we incorporate them to fit our collections or our clients? And also, I mentioned once that one of my favorite movies is Working Girl.
Yes, yes,
I know it's
exactly.
it's a it's
It's a
it's
great
not
movie. I
it's
remember
a
it.
great movie,
A
and
great movie.
it's not one of those movies that people are like, "Working Girl, really?" It's
Yeah,
not like,
yeah.
but there's so many things about that movie that are part of my business.
Yeah.
So much of it of Trish McGill is part of what I do and who I am, right?
Yes.
Because one of the things that you realize about her is that she is very smart and very, she's astute. She looks for things that are going to happen in the market, not just by looking at the market, but by looking at things around her, at
Yeah.
things that really you wouldn't even think about, page 6 of the newspaper, all of these things. And part of being a forecaster is to see what's happening around you, not just in your market, not just, if you're a fashion forecaster, is it just
Mhm.
fashion? No, it's everything that's around, it's lifestyle, it's everything that's around you. It's, it's food, it's interiors, it's automotive, everything. And also the mood of or the climate of the world, of the country,
Absolutely.
of the people,
Absolutely.
of your
Yes.
client. And lastly, I think it's instinct. I think some of us just we don't. It's not something that you're born with. I don't think so. I think it's something that you acquire. I think it's something that you learn. Or maybe we
Yeah.
are born with it and we just feel like it's natural. But I think you can learn it.
Mhm.
By being aware, you,
Yeah.
you have an instinct and things start kind of coming together.
Together.
I mention that when I used to design, if I wasn't designing, I wasn't aware of color combinations or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
minute I start designing, I get in that
Mm.
mode, I get
Mhm.
into that phase, and
Mhm.
everything becomes a color combination and a pattern.
I love
It
that. Yeah.
starts, yeah, you start looking at things, and all of a sudden it's like, you look around and you're like, oh, white, gray, and blue. I like that. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you look over there and you're like, there's yellow there. What if I did this with yellow and I did that with this? Everywhere you go, you start seeing this. So I think that's part of forecasting too.
Yeah.
Just all starts
Kind
getting
of
together
coming
like that.
together.
It
No,
starts coming together that way.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it definitely comes out in your work. And I'm going to digress just a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I was a big fan of your YouTube series of What to Wear to Work. And so watched every episode, learning how to wear leather, how to wear denim. You even had an episode, how to wear shorts to work
Right.
and style. So you really, that series for me was just an awesome tool for me dressing and figuring out what my workday would look like, and really empowered me to make decisions around my wardrobe and how I wanted to look, and most importantly, who I wanted to portray myself as a woman in business. It brings me to my next statement. In 2020, we've experienced a shift of epic proportions in our work life culture due to COVID 19. In your New York Now fall trend presentation, you walked us through an in depth look into work from home with the data, the trend, and inspiration. Can you briefly mention some of your more notable trend highlights in that presentation? You went through different office personalities and style. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know what? Let me go. I hope you don't mind, but I'm just going to go into the beginning of how this presentation got to be.
Sure, of course.
Okay. And exactly what putting it together was all about,
Yeah.
So we started speaking about the videos that I did. When I did those videos, it was always about helping um, that client, that woman, just actually look the part whenever she went to work. And I always say to them, I'm a creative, so this is how I would wear this, but of course you could wear it this way. Um, and when the pandemic started, I had stopped doing the videos for a while, and when the pandemic started, I knew that I needed to start letting people know this is a new way of communicating. Now, you still have to show up to work, but this time you're showing up to work virtually. You're showing up to work in that video conference call. And very few people knew how to do that because there was still some of us that have been video conferencing for years before this. I've being one of them, but this was now just amplified. It was done tenfold, where before I was aware of it, this time I was extremely aware of it. And I knew that my customer or just the audience in general wanted to know a little bit more about that. So I started putting together this mini series of, uh, how you should present yourself in front of the camera, and with it, I also mentioned your background and things that happened behind the scenes that you want, or behind you that you want people to notice, because this is so important right now.
Mhm.
You know, you are now, your brand today goes beyond just yourself. Now it always has included your surroundings, but
Mhm.
this is more so because now people are coming into your space, right? Virtually,
Of
and
course,
they're
yes.
getting to see who you are. It's all aligning now. It's
Yeah,
all becoming your brand, right? So
absolutely.
that was the beginning of it. And when I partnered up with New York Now, it was really about putting together a great presentation that took us into what exactly are these trends, and what
Yes.
do these trends mean, not only to the consumer, but also to the retailers. How is the work from home trend a category now? Because as the presentation states, 55% of us are going to be working from home in one capacity or another, whether it's part time or full time. The video conference call is here to stay. So, this is really important for us to understand because this mode of communication is now going to be a way that we're going to present ourselves professionally.
Yes.
And when we speak about these trends that are coming forward, we have to think about them for ourselves as individuals, as a business person, and also for our businesses. How can we be part of these trends? How can we be part of this new category? So the webinar itself starts off with the forecasting part of it, right? The whole research part of it, like I stated to you before.
Yes.
Exactly how is it that I start forecasting something, and it's research based, a lot of it, right? I look through what's going on and what are people saying in all of these different things. What is it that people are stating? And one of the main things that they're stating is that this is here to stay. And then the
Mhm.
other part that I actually put together when you're talking about the different categories,
Yes.
I broke the presentation up into what was the trends in home and then the
Yes.
trends in fashion. And then it goes on to personalities, fashion personalities. So when I work with clients one on one and I try to put together a brand image for them, a personal style image, I always ask them to give me, and I put together basically a presentation board, a vision board, you could say, of everything that they love. And I'm not talking about fashion. I always think about interiors. I think about food they love, things they love to read. What is it that, the colors that they love? Because all of this is style. So
Yes.
when I started putting together this presentation, I thought about, well, how would those personalities look in front of the screen? What is it that these people would want to put that brand in front of? Like, how is it they want to present themselves? That's a much better way of putting it. So for instance, I have the personality that is boho. This is a person that's a lot more, a travel person, a person that likes things that are a little bit more eclectic. And then you have the person that's the classic or the modern, all of these different um, categories or personalities, right, of style that could actually be, you can have two kinds of personality. You could be modern classic or, uh, boho classic, whatever it is. Uh, but thinking about those fashion personalities, you think about the client, the person that's in front of the camera, but you also think about yourself as a brand or a retailer. Each brand also has a personality. Each retailer has a personality. Their clients have personalities. So when you're thinking about this, you put that situation, whether it's yourself, whether it's your business, whether it's your client's person, whatever it is, that's the lens that you're looking through the presentation through. So that's the way that it's put together.
Seeing the way you put together all the different work personalities in terms of home decor and fashion and design, I was easily able to identify who I am within that, and probably more importantly, who I'd like to be when I'm working from home, at least the surroundings around me that will support my work. It kind of sets me up for the next question because you also spoke about the new elegance in home office dressing and wondering if we could expand upon that a little bit more.
Absolutely. So when we just speaking about fashion and about how we have actually started dressing uh, because of the pandemic, what 2020 brought us, first of all, it was a shock. Within that shock, we all started just, didn't know what to do. We knew we were at home. And what do we do the minute we get home? Our home dressing usually is you get home, you take off your work clothes, you put on your work your home outfit, and that's either your pajamas, it's your sweats, it's your t-shirt. This is
Mhm.
what we know as being at home. And many of us were presenting ourselves in front of the camera exactly that way. We were working that way when we were at home. We were confused. We didn't know what to do. It was a new way. We thought, well, within a couple of weeks, I'm going to be back in the office. This is really it. A couple of weeks turned into a couple of months. A couple of months turned into 10 months, and it just started. This became now, hey, I've got to show up to work. Slowly but surely, we started thinking about we have to dress up because now this is work. No matter what, we are showing up, with our colleagues. We're going to be there. We have to present ourselves or with potential clients, however it was that you were, communicating in that virtual conference. So we started thinking a little bit more about, hey, I have to dress from the waist up, right? And one of the trends, of course, was tops.
Yeah.
Tops being so important, sales in tops just soaring because people were starting to buy different tops that they can actually wear in front of the camera that were going to be more presentable than just their t-shirt or their pajama top or whatever it was. And so one of the trends going forward is tops,
Yeah.
blouses, different tops that are actually going to look good in front of a camera that are going to be comfortable as well, because comfort is still going to continue. And the new elegance is that elegance that still has comfort as key. So
Mhm.
that's really one of the things that I love about what's coming into fashion is, again, that focus on tops. But bottoms are still going to be important because as much as we want to continue wearing our sweats, we will. But today, because we are at home and everything is happening within that space, we also take our breaks immediately after that Zoom meeting. Maybe we want to go out for a walk. Maybe we need to go to the store. Whatever it is, we need to step out and we don't want to change. Or
Yeah.
sometimes we are already working and then we have a Zoom meeting and we want to be ready. So the bottoms are going to be comfortable, but a little bit more stylish than just your regular sweatpant or your regular, legging. Maybe it's a different fabric that has stretch and you made it into a jogger pant, or you've made it into a wide-legged pant that's really comfortable and you can wear with a really great top. So those are two really important things. And another one is the house dress. This is a style that,
Yeah.
or something that I've been doing for many, many years,
Yeah.
especially in the summertime. I know I get home and I always put on like a slip dress or something like that. This isn't like, your mother's or your grandmother's house dress. It's not
Yeah.
like, something that
Yeah.
you can't be seen in. It's
Right.
something that you want to be seen in.
Yeah.
Again, everything is something that people are thinking about. What do I wear when I go for my walk? You know, and now, the mask being also a fashion statement, something that people are, designers are getting in on it and everything else. There's going to be actual like ensembles of your
Yeah.
mask matching, your scarf, or matching your dress, or matching, gloves, or whatever it is. But it's going to continue because we're going to have to continue taking care of ourselves. And I think wearing a mask, it's going to actually be something that is going to continue post COVID, as people are starting to think, no matter what, whether they're thinking it's flu season or whatever it is, you know what? I'm going to put on that mask just to protect myself and others. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I think are really
Oh,
exciting about what's coming.
no, for sure. And I thank you for those fashion tips. And on the home decor front, as retailers and buyers prepare for digital markets of 2021 and some summer markets, consumers are, working to kind of reimagine their home space and to adapt to work. What are some of the items that you're excited about? I heard you speak about the foldable desk, and you're really excited about that. What's another item? And tell me what you're excited about.
Sure. So again, when we're thinking about home decor and everything that is moving forward, right now we're thinking about that box that is your visual of in front of that Zoom meeting, right? And we think about the desk that everyone needs now to actually work in. A lot of people were making do. They were using their a table, their dining table as a desk. They were using, anything that they could, maybe on the couch. But the more they were in the home, the more they needed a proper desk, and whether that desk is an actual desk or whether it's just a small console or whether it's something, because you live in a small apartment, that is foldable, that you can actually tuck away, is going to be really, really important. And I love that whole idea of putting
Yeah.
this together,
I
whether
do too.
it's, IKEA is doing some things like that too, whether it's like you open up a cabinet, you do this,
Yeah.
whatever it is, all of these different retailers and brands are coming up with wonderful ideas and different styles. Not everyone has, a small space. Some people are actually getting a real home office,
Yeah.
a dedicated space. So, so the desk is definitely something that I think is really important. The other things that I think are really important is lighting. I think, because you want to look good in front of the camera, and lighting is a major deal. But it's not just natural lighting, because of course we all want natural lighting, right?
Of
But it's
course.
overhead lighting, it's desk lamps,
Yeah.
it's any sort of spotlighting that you can do. It's that ambiance that you want to create. It's everything that goes behind that wall, art, books, things that you want to display that are really important, plants, bringing in the outdoors in, wanting to have that as part of your decor.
Yeah.
All of this is extremely, extremely important. And the last thing that I'm
Yeah.
very excited about, that is
Yeah.
both in home and in fashion, is
Mhm.
sustainability. It's the importance of sustainability and that trend. Well, I'm not going to say a trend, because I don't think it is a trend. I think it's a movement, and I think it's
Yeah.
a forward movement that's going very fast, that has been happening, but that 2020 just accelerated that movement a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
more.
I mean, it's just, that value principle has just been growing in it. I need to take a moment. I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
You've just completed some advanced studies in sustainability, receiving certificates from in sustainable fashion from the Copenhagen Business School and London School of Fashion. That is so fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. This
You
was
know,
definitely something that came out of this staying at home, that I really had wanted to do for a long time. I have been working with sustainability for a while, believe it or not. When I was designing textiles many, many years ago, I designed a collection that had recycled polyester as part of their of the fabrication. It was the polyester part was recycled bottles, is what it was. It was the polyester was made of recycled bottles, and it was a wool and poly blend. And I loved that whole idea, and it was something that I was really interested in, and just became extremely passionate about moving forward. I wanted to be more educated on it. I wanted to know, how is it that I can be better, I can be more sustainable. What can I do to better myself? And what can I do to educate my clients on how they can actually make more educated choices in fashion? So this was something that was really important to me. um, uh, and it's funny, because a friend of mine, when I told her I was doing this, she said,
yeah.
it's not a surprise. She goes, you've been thinking about, eating, organic, and that's the way you're going. And I'm like, you know what,
Yeah.
you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. And that is one of, if we think about how food has gone into where organic is so much more, not just acceptable, but it's more accessible now. And
Really.
it's
Yeah.
something that really everyone is thinking about. And, you know, very high end chefs are talking about, and it's this real movement that people are behind. Fashion is in that direction too. you know it's exactly where we're going, and I think most of us are excited, because out of this is going to come out a lot of really wonderful and creative work, and new designers that are just going to lead the way in things that we haven't even thought of yet. So
I
I'm
mean,
very, very excited about it.
oh, I am as well. And it's great to see it also integrated into just our lifestyle and how we live and how it's, transferred in that way. So that's something that's really exciting. I've been inspired and I've been a follower of yours for quite some time now. And I've watched your in-store live coverages of Fashion Night Out at Bendel's, Barney's, Bloomie's and Bergdorf Goodman. You did live coverage for New York Fashion Night Out and the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week and events at the Pierre Hotel. On the charity front, you've been deeply involved in Fashion Fights Cancer and, of course, working with St. Jude. Thank you for your commitment to these important causes. Could you tell us a bit about why they're so important to you and your involvement in those causes?
Yeah, of course. So I think first of all, thank you so much for actually being a follower,
Yes.
actually, seeing the work that I've done, and
Yeah.
i- it's been, like I said, my career has been one that I've been in fashion my whole life,
Mhm.
and a lot of the times people just think of fashion as something that is very frivolous, that it's all about, expensive, frivolous things, that it's not important, that we are people that don't care. When really, in reality, I think it's most of us really are want to give back. Our whole career is based on making people feel and look better, and both of these causes are things that I really believe in. St. Jude's has been part of my platform for many, many years. I started with them just volunteering, and then I was part of their Gala por la Vida, and I was one of, in the committee, and I just loved it so much, and I love the
That's so good.
cause, and
Yeah.
it is true, something that is very, meaningful to me.
Yeah.
And then with Fashion Fights Cancer, I met Ty Canty, who is the person that started all of this many years ago, and he's become a friend. And his cause is just, it's just so meaningful. It just really helps people that are fighting cancer. By helping them do things, projects that will take their minds
Yes.
away from all of just the stress that they're going through at the moment. So I love that. It's just so these are things that I believe in, and anything that I believe in, I I like to volunteer. I like to be
Yeah.
able to give back, because I've been given a lot of wonderful things in life, and I think it's good to
Yeah.
give back and to share and to help and to spread the word and to be part of a community.
Yeah, and you're, part of the solution, and we thank you too for being involved in such important causes. With that said, what's next on the business agenda for 2021?
Well, definitely, sustainable fashion is part of the things that I'm really, really incorporating in my business going forward. I think that's a main focus this year and beyond. And then virtual, working virtually with clients, virtual styling, virtual presentations. That's really something that I'm building on as well. I offer a 30-minute free virtual consultation to anyone that comes in, so that they could just sign up, ask me a question, whether it's about a personal styling question or whether it's something that they want to collaborate with, or that they have a question in their business, whatever it is. 30 minutes, it's something that's free, and they're there, they can always reach out to me. The other thing is teaching a little bit more, but doing it while I'm actually putting together e-courses that I can, you know let people know, how can they do this themselves, how can I best teach them how to do this at home. So, of course, always looking for great collaborations with people, always looking how I can put new projects together, and there's things that we haven't even thought of yet that I'm sure are going to pop up. And lastly, I am writing the second edition of my book, 7 Days to Style. And
Ah,
yes, up,
nice.
update it. Have been thinking about this for years. And my niece was constantly asking me, when are you going to do this? And this time I was like, you know what? This is it. It's the time to do it, because now there's a reason to do it. I want to really incorporate just advice on how to start going sustainable in the book itself. And that's one of the packages that I'm offering now too, is actually how you can start being sustainable, that you don't have to buy, how to dress with the pieces that you have there. What can we put together? So yeah, it's really exciting. So doing that second edition, it's got to start putting, pen to paper pretty soon.
All exciting stuff coming. I'm really excited. I just want to say you did a Zoom series, and that totally upgraded my Zoom life. I'm so much better on Zoom by watching that series about lighting and how to present myself and put my computer. So that was a game changer. And I remember the launch of your first book, 7 Days to Style. We were at Barnes and Noble's for that lunch. You did this great partnership with Lancome Beauty, and then downtown with Catherine Melandrino. And I still have my first copy, so I'm really excited to dive into the sustainable portion that's going to come with the second edition. And I'm going to tell our listeners to stay tuned and to look for that second edition. It's really, really a great book, and you can really find style tips. And I'm still looking at it, so it's been a great tool for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course, I'm totally excited about it. Just in closing, final question. With all of these exciting things happening, where can listeners connect with you?
Sure. So all of my handles are at Monica Diaz Mode, and it is at Monica Diaz Mode in Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's all at Monica Diaz Mode. It's very easy.
Totally.
Yeah, the word mode, of course, being because of fashion in French, but basically because it's also a mode is a state of being, right? And we always dress for different modes in our life, right? Whether it's work mode, business mode, leisure mode.
Yeah.
Think about that as well.
I've connected the dots. I get it. I'm hopefully going to be in mode.
Mode, that's right.
I have to say, it's really great to hear that you're so accessible through your social channels and connecting with your audience. And one last question. I thought the first one, the last one was final, but I do remember having a conversation with you about why it was so important to connect with your audience and why you make yourself so accessible in that way.
Right. And I think I told you at that time, that surprised you, that I have a love-hate relationship with social media, right? And it's like, that's right. It's like, I actually love, the accessibility. I love the fact that that we actually get to speak to our audience. But most of all, I want to hear from them. I want to hear what they have to say. What I hate about it is the fact that we have to constantly do this, and sometimes you feel like I'm not listening. Am I just speaking and I'm not hearing what people are saying, And it's really important to know what it is that they want to hear. So please, if you see anything of mine, I ask you to please comment. I welcome that, and I love what you're doing, with your social media. You are one I look up to. For sure. One of my New Year's resolutions is actually to be better at social media, to actually be much better at connecting and at being authentic and at, I think I've always been authentic, but I think sometimes, we just forget to connect. We don't think that it's, important. And I think it's just weeding it out, just putting the things that we really think, we want to express.
Yeah, we definitely want to connect. Well, I have to thank you. At New York Now, our audience is really important. So all of those posts that you're seeing, it's really driven by our need to connect, wanting to be a resource to our audience and constantly providing relevant content and information that people can be inspired by, that it can educate, that it's a call to action, constantly letting them know that we are trying to think ahead of what they're thinking so that we can be a great source. So thank you for noticing, and thank you for
I've learned a lot
following us. I definitely appreciate it. Monica, as always, it's been a tremendous pleasure chatting with you today, and I thank you for taking the time. And of course, I'm going to encourage all of our listeners. I'll have a link for you to pop over to the New York Now website so that you can watch Monica's webinar on home decor and working from home. It's on demand. It's a great presentation. There's so much to learn. So I'll definitely leave a link for you guys to pop over and take a look and enjoy that webinar. Thanks again, Monica, for joining us today.
I definitely want to thank you. I want to thank New York Now for the opportunity. And yes, I do invite everyone to look at the presentation, at the webinar. It includes a lot of the vendors in there too, so that this presentation is put together with all of you in mind.
Yeah.
So, please, and if you are one of those people, give me a shout out. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear what you have to say and what you thought of the presentation itself.
Thank you so much, Monica. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Okay, take care.
To connect with Monica, visit monicadiazmode.com. To view Monica's work from home directional trend forecast webinar, visit newyorknow.com for digital talk links. Thank you for listening to the New York Now podcast. Make sure to tune in weekly for engaging and insightful conversations touching on the most relevant topics facing our community today. Visit newyorknow.com to learn more about our market and how you can join in on the conversation.